I didn't know my marriage had already been rewritten on paper until I walked into my own house and saw my stepdaughter smiling at me like she'd already buried me. That smile still keeps me awake some nights because it wasn't warm. It was patient, like she knew something I didn't. If you enjoy stories that remind you how quickly family can turn into strangers, subscribe to Family Betrayal. And one quick thing before I continue, the faces, photos, and scenes you see are only visual storytelling to help imagine the events I'm describing. I'd been married to Linda for 16 years. We weren't perfect, but we survived layoffs, health scares, and raising her daughter, Emily. Her biological father disappeared when Emily was 6. I was the one who taught her to ride a bike, helped with homework, and paid for college when scholarships weren't enough. I never expected gratitude. I just believed we were family. Then Linda got sick. It wasn't terminal, but it forced her to think about the future. We talked about wills one night over dinner. She squeezed my hand and said everything would stay simple. If one of us passed away, the other would be protected first. After that, whatever remained would go to Emily. I trusted her. A few weeks later, little things started changing. Emily suddenly visited almost every day. She'd stop talking whenever I entered the room. One afternoon I walked into the kitchen, and she quickly folded a document before I could see it. "Just insurance papers," she said. Something about the way she avoided my eyes made my stomach tighten. Then Linda became strangely protective of her office. The door stayed locked. She started taking phone calls outside. When I asked if everything was okay, she smiled too quickly. "You're worrying over nothing." I wanted to believe her. Then one evening I found an expensive law firm's business card in her purse. She'd never mentioned hiring an attorney. When I asked about it, she quietly took the card from my hand and said, "It's nothing you need to concern yourself with." Nothing I needed to concern myself with. After 16 years of marriage. That night I barely slept. 3 days later an envelope arrived. It wasn't addressed to Linda. It was addressed to both of us. Inside was a formal invitation. Our attorney requested that the entire family meet at his office the following Friday. No explanation. Just one sentence. An important document will be reviewed in everyone's presence. When I looked up from the letter, Emily was standing in the hallway. She wasn't surprised. She was smiling. That smile followed me all the way to the lawyer's office. I kept telling myself I was imagining things, but every instinct I had was screaming that something had happened behind my back. Linda barely spoke during the drive. She stared out the window, twisting her wedding ring over and over. Every time I tried to ask what was going on, she'd say, "Please, just wait." Emily arrived separately. She walked in carrying herself with a confidence I'd never seen before. She even greeted the receptionist by name, as if she'd already been there. That's when my heart sank. The attorney invited us into the conference room. A thick folder sat in the middle of the table. "I've been instructed to review Mrs. Carter's updated estate plan," he said. Updated. I looked at Linda. She couldn't even meet my eyes. The lawyer opened the file and calmly explained that a new will had replaced the previous one just 2 weeks earlier. My chest tightened. Without warning me, she'd changed everything. He continued reading. The house, the investment accounts, her retirement savings, her jewelry. Nearly everything was being left directly to Emily. I sat there frozen. The only thing designated for me was my pickup truck and a small checking account with less than $5,000. Emily leaned back in her chair with the smallest grin. She tried to hide it, but I caught it. That grin hurt more than the will itself. After everything I'd done for her, after treating her like my own daughter, I had been reduced to a truck. I finally looked at Linda. "Why?" Her eyes immediately filled with tears. I thought it was the safest choice." "For who?" I asked quietly. She opened her mouth but never answered. The room fell silent. Then the attorney cleared his throat. "There is one more matter." Emily's smile grew even wider. She folded her arms like she was waiting for the celebration to begin. The lawyer reached into another folder. This document was delivered under separate instructions and was not to be opened until today's meeting. Emily frowned. "I don't know anything about another document," she said. The attorney looked directly at her. "I believe that's exactly why your mother insisted every family member be present." For the first time that day, Emily's confidence disappeared. And when the lawyer broke the seal on the second envelope, I realized the meeting wasn't over. It had only just begun. The lawyer unfolded the second document and looked around the room before speaking. This letter was signed 6 months before the new will. Mrs. Carter instructed me to keep it sealed unless everyone named in her estate plan was present. Emily shifted in her chair. Can we just finish this? The lawyer ignored her. He handed the letter to Linda. Her hands shook so badly she couldn't read it, so she whispered, "Please, you read it." He nodded. "If you're hearing this, it means my family is sitting together. I changed my will because I was pressured into believing my husband could not be trusted. I was told he only stayed with me for my money. I didn't believe it at first, but after months of hearing the same thing, I became afraid. If I was wrong, this letter is my apology." My heart stopped. Linda burst into tears. She covered her face and couldn't look at me. The lawyer continued. "Before changing my will, I hired a private investigator without telling anyone. I needed proof before making the biggest mistake of my life." Emily suddenly sat up straight. "What investigator?" The lawyer reached into the folder again and placed another envelope on the table. "The investigator's final report." Emily's face turned pale. The report showed weeks of surveillance, financial records, phone logs, and interviews. Every accusation against me had been false. I had never hidden money. I had never planned to leave Linda. I had never spoken to another woman behind her back. Then the report revealed something none of us expected. Someone else had been moving money. Small amounts at first, then larger transfers, all leading to one bank account. The account belonged to Emily. The room became painfully quiet. Emily jumped to her feet. "This is ridiculous. Those were gifts." The lawyer calmly slid several bank statements across the table. "They were transferred from your mother's accounts without her knowledge." Linda stared at the documents. "I never approved these." Emily looked around the room, desperate for someone to believe her. Instead, everyone was staring at her. Then the investigator's final note was read aloud. "Based on recorded conversations and financial evidence, I believe the daughter deliberately manipulated her mother into changing the will while secretly benefiting from unauthorized transfers." Emily's confidence completely disappeared. She looked at Linda and whispered, "Mom, I can explain." Linda slowly stood up. For 16 years, I'd never seen anger in her eyes like that. She took off her wedding ring, held it tightly in her hand, looked at me with tears streaming down her face, and said, "There's one last thing you deserve to know." Then she revealed the secret she'd been carrying for months. A secret that changed everything I thought I knew about our family.